What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's having a great day. Today in this video we're going to be talking about the 5 more questionable features on the new 2024 Mustang lineup. And before we get started, I just want to say that I'm really in love with the new Mustang lineup. I'm liking the features I'm seeing. I'm liking the looks. When it first was announced, I was a little hesitant on the looks of the car, but you guys been watching my videos, you know we got one on order already, so it's safe to say that I've come around to the look of the Mustang. But jumping straight into it, guys, the first feature that I think is kind of questionable on the new S650 platform is remote rev. Okay, when I first saw Ford announce this feature, I thought, okay, it might be cool, maybe a little party trick at car shows, things like that.
I love this party trick right now.
But how often are you really gonna use something like that? I don't know. But if you're not familiar with remote rev, let me just play this little clip for you guys and you guys will see what Ford's talking about with this feature. It's kind of cool, but we'll talk about it after you watch it. So you guys see that you can rev the car remotely from the key fob just by hitting that lock and unlock sequence of buttons, and it's kind of cool. I guess you could use that feature like if you were showing off the exhaust, maybe trying to get exhaust clips. That might be kind of cool. But I also worry a little bit that cars and coffee with these Mustangs are just gonna turn into like a big rev off of people just hitting their key fob buttons. I don't know, just an interesting feature that I'm not sold on yet. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this one, because I'm still on the fence about it. I guess we'll see. Now the next questionable feature, number 2, really has to do with the Dark Horse and the GT, and that's the dual throttle bodies on the new 4th gen Coyote V8 engine. And if you're not familiar, this is what they kind of look like. So they have 2 air intakes here. You got two boxes, 2 filters, 2 everything, 2 throttle bodies. So one side feeds one bank of cylinders and the other feeds the other, which is pretty cool. My only kind of, not gripe, but I guess concern is for the aftermarket. So are these intakes gonna be considerably more expensive because you're essentially having to buy double the amount of parts to swap out an intake to an aftermarket setup? 2 air boxes, 2 separate hoses, 2 filter elements, it's just double. So my first thought was like, all right, intakes are gonna cost a little bit more. Also, how's the performance gonna be? I would think more air in would result in more power, but maybe it's done for just efficiency's sake. I'm not sure. So it'll be very interesting to learn more about this as we start seeing the cars on the road, as we get one on this channel, and we can really dive into it. But that's just kind of the questionable feature of the new one. Was it really necessary? I don't know. Now, piggybacking off of the dual intake, dual throttle body questionable feature, I also raised the 3rd questionable feature, which is not really a feature, but the ECUs are gonna be locked when you first get these cars, when Ford first releases these. And they are always locked from every manufacturer on new cars. And it's up to the aftermarket to kind of crack those and allow, aftermarket companies to be able to tune these cars. However, I'm speculating here, but with the dual throttle bodies, is it gonna be more difficult for tuners to tune these cars once that ECU is cracked? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I've also heard that the reason why this is gonna be harder to crack than last gen's S550 chassis and ECU is because over-the-air updates and the connectivity to Ford now with the new systems here. Essentially, these cars communicate via like Wi-Fi and stuff too for their updates now. So it might actually send signals to Ford for updates after you're tuned. So there might be some issues there of maybe Ford checking that, hey, you have the stock file on your car. I'm wondering if it's gonna read parameters like that. Problem comes into play when these cars are talking with the manufacturer all the time, essentially checking the version of the firmware they're on. So there might be some issues with that. So that's just kind of an issue that I was thinking might be a problem down the line. All right, guys, number 4 is the exhaust on the new S650. So if you're looking for quad tip exhaust base model stuff, you're not gonna get it. Unfortunately, you have to go with the active exhaust on the EcoBoost and the GT to get the quad tips. If you look back to the S550 generation, you were able to get those quad tips on GT as standard, even without the active exhaust. So that's kind of a bummer, I guess, on the newer generations, that you only get the dual tip, dual exhaust, I guess, on the base model cars going forward with the S650. Now, I'm not that concerned with this. Honestly, on my order, I just optioned the base exhaust. I didn't go active exhaust, which maybe I'll regret later, maybe not. But if you look at the rear valance of the new S650, there's smaller cutouts for the stock exhaust than there is on the active exhaust option. But I don't know. I don't think it's anything a little Sawzall or Dremel couldn't fix. Or if you want to swap out the lower valance for the one with the active exhaust to the base one, so you could add your quad tips, I think that would be super easy too. So we might explore that when we get my car as well, because that's something I definitely want to look into. And the last questionable feature here, guys, is going to actually go back to the EcoBoost platform, and that one is going to be the 5 horsepower gain from the S550 to the S650. Literally, the S550 EcoBoost made 310 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good for a stock EcoBoost. Now, stock EcoBoost makes 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. So you gain 5 more horsepower with the new EcoBoost engine. And that wouldn't be that big a deal if the EcoBoost was the same EcoBoost engine that's in the S550, that's in the S650. However, they've made a lot of improvements on the new S650 variant, the new EcoBoost engine, including a new turbocharger, electronically controlled wastegate. They beefed up the internals. So you would think from the factory, Ford would give you a little bit more horsepower. But I guess not. However, I'm sure the aftermarket, after the ECUs are cracked, will solve this. I know this one here is a ton of fun with the aftermarket E30 tune from PD Tuning. It's a blast and the torque is great. So I'm sure the new EcoBoost guys and the S650 platform, it's gonna be a little while, maybe a couple years, who knows? But you guys will get that power back for sure, and I'm sure more of it at that. And they got dual fuel injection, they got port fuel injection and direct injection on these new EcoBoosts. So you would think that you'd be able to supply a lot more fuel into the mix and make more power. So aftermarket is probably gonna go crazy with that one. I'm sure the fuel pumps are bigger on that as well, higher capacity. So it's gonna be cool to see what the little EcoBoost can do in the future. Anyways, guys, that is my 5 questionable features for the new S650 lineup. It was kind of hard thinking of these because I'm really liking the new car. I'm liking most of everything I'm seeing, but let me know down below. What are your thoughts on the new S650 platform? Are these features kind of questionable to you as well? Let me know in the comments. I always love to read them. And if you guys got this far and you want to support the channel, Daily Driven merch is on the site now. It's not this shirt. This is actually an RTR shirt, but it's on my site now. Daily Driven t-shirts, mugs, all that fun stuff for you guys. So if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it, and I'd really appreciate it. If you don't want to do that and you want to stick around for the S650 content coming your way on this channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'd love it even more if you hit that like button for me. You guys have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Bye.